That's why God telling me not to do nothing, y'all.
You didn't think I would ever get to the point of telling people what you've done.
All right, I don't know what's happening, but Puff is being recorded by his private videographer, and that's why we have this footage. And he keeps referencing God and says, like, God told me to do this. You'll see. God told me to do what I'm going to do. I don't know who God is or what's going on there, but he keeps saying that. And now we have a woman who's setting the stage for standing up for herself, it sounds like. Let's see.
He's in a room with people who don't know, and he's the most powerful man. But if you're in a room alone with him,
I know y'all heard all of the rumors that I'm looking for a new assistant.
Capricorn Clark, love that name. She was his assistant, and she's about to tell us everything.
he's a cat. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. At some point, Puff found out that I knew Suge.
Oh, so she's doing the assistant day. She's learning the schedule. He takes her to Central Park, finds out she knew Suge, technically his baby mama, so not even him personally, but okay.
Still to this day, my best friend.
Oh, and they're besties. Kind of interesting that she would take the chance, unless you don't know the beef between the two, working for Diddy when you're that close to Suge's family.
Like, if something happens, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Oh, so basically he's saying, if you ever betray me, I'll kill you.
I'm telling you. Like, we just gonna do it like this so you really understand. I never told anyone. I never called the police.
Interesting. She's saying a regular person would go report it. She didn't. Obviously, I don't know if she was afraid. That's why I say, like, I don't like rich and powerful people. They're always trying to kill you. You know what I mean? She said that also could be the reason why he, like, trusts her.
A lot of history with dealing with addicts and intense personality.
Maybe also thought she could handle it because of her past. But also please note that I don't think Diddy trusted her. Diddy trusted his threats to her were powerful enough to keep her mouth shut. Which is why this unraveling is so interesting, because what it's proving is that he's not as scary, or maybe not as powerful, or maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth Diddy's wrath, to come forward.
If you're dealing with someone who's on coke 5 days a week as a child, by the time you're 23 and she's dead, it desensitized me.
I guarantee that plays a role. So her mother was addicted to coke. She died when she was 23. I assume when she was 23, the daughter, Capricorn. But also, it makes sense why she might feel familiar or comfortable around Diddy's. And that's why we have to go to therapy and we have to face our traumas, because even though we're never at fault for being victims, a lot of our trauma informs our actions. And in order to stop self-harming, because that's what it is, being around these people, is we have to deconstruct our trauma. So instead of blaming yourself, see it as self-harm, this repeated pattern of toxic guys and getting into bad relationships and spending your money and never getting your life together. Think of it more like a problem with, like, hurting yourself, you being, stupid or naive. You're simply hurting yourself because you don't know better. And the thing about therapy and philosophy is it can help you know better, right? And I just realized I didn't do my intro. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture. We're watching the Diddy doc, and we're using real people's lives to learn about our own.
Puff was a disorganized chaos that I understood.
I have a reputation that, I may be hard to work with or hard to work for.
And I think there's a pride there. Like, I'm so hard to work with. I'm so hard to work for. It's a pride on the person who can keep the job, like I could deal with his attitude, and a pride for the guy who feels like he's being picked. It's why I think we get into toxic relationships with abusive men, is because there's somewhat of a prize there, And that's the toxicity of it all, really.
2008, I got promoted to be global brand director. This basically means de facto manager.
Okay, well, I mean, at least he's promoting women, am I right? That's a little bit of a joke. I will say there is this stereotype of a male boss, especially if you're a man working with men, in which he yells and breaks things and demands things of you. And if you're man enough, you'll keep up with it. And then women feel that pressure. Like I said, we are trained under patriarchy like the rest of everybody else. And so we too want to be the best man at the office. And that's that internalized, like, misogyny that we all hold within us, to want to be pick-me's and or to want to impress the men to be better than the other men in the room as well. But look, what does it get us at the end of the day?
I worked for him till 2012. I know him more than most people. He's very good at mental games.
I'm the king.
So, okay, I'm the king. Men and their desire to be a king, you know what I'm saying? So she said she worked with him from 2004 to 2012.
He's very good at getting up under your skin. He's very good at attacking your fears, and he's very good at retaliation.
I believe it, no doubt.
Professional at masking and lying and making himself look like the greatest of them all.
Not surprised. Exactly. Look for this in your dating career. Look at this in your professional career. Look at this in your life. Look at this when you're looking at your friends. Look for the Diddy in your friend group, in your family, in your work dynamics. They're there. They're rare, but they're there.
This is my favorite artist.
How do we crown our kings?
Girl.
Some people looking at it like they're demolishing our kings. They're taking, man, what Puffy do for you?
To present this BET Lifetime Achievement Award.
Puffy ain't no king for us. He's a monster.
Ugh, Diddy gives me the literal ick. And I know some people, I saw a comment, I don't remember what it was referencing. Maybe it Diddy, I don't know. They said something like, I don't like people referencing an ick. Guys, an ick is something kind of serious. An ick isn't just like it's a warning bell. It's an intuitional warning bell sometimes. Like Diddy gives me the ick. Like I should stay away from him. Like you gross me out. That feeling, assuming we've deconstructed it and introspected on it and made sure that it's not coming from bias or prejudice, is also a good warning bell to like stay away from people like Diddy.
I got a call. Puff was doing a writer's camp for his new album. He asked me to make the album. See him, Justin, and Puff go in the bathroom. Moments later, I hear, boom, open the door, and she was in there just bleeding.
Oh my goodness. So I feel a little lost right now, but I'm pretty sure Justin Dior Combs. Oh no, I'm not lost. Now I just read it on the screen. Justin is his son. I thought Justin was his son from the last clip we watched. Okay, so Sean Combs and Justin Combs went into the bathroom with another guy. Shotguns go off. This guy goes, no way, I heard that. Because, he's recording. He's got earphones on. He's like, no way, that just happened. It did happen. And the guy is bleeding out in the bathroom.
Bring me towels. And I just start patching him up and applying pressure.
And, earlier in the clip, again, I struggled to know what to include because of copyright, but he was saying that basically, Diddy is like this king, but he's not. He's a monster to the community. And that's the thing with powerful people is they make you feel like you're on top of the world. You're so honored to work with them. But again, look at the consequences.
Puff said, yo, tell them the shooting did not happen here. They were nasty. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so he was threatened. Puff said, make sure you tell the police the shooting didn't happen here. So now he's complicit. See, that's another thing he does. That's another thing they do. They make you complicit in the crimes. This is such a specific tactic, and I've seen it from other predatory people, and you don't know what's happening until it happens. Where all of a sudden, they're saying like, you're complicit too, you were here. But all he was doing was recording a song. He didn't know there was going to be a shooting. But now, if he has to lie to the police because Diddy's threatening his life, well, now Diddy's saying your hands are dirty too.
Somehow he was able to make this all go away.
Yep, there it is. Yeah. Scary, huh? It's really scary.
That shook me. I'm still shook.
I really appreciate his vulnerability in saying that this shook me. It scared me. It was like a realization that this was a monster of a man. Now, obviously, monsters aren't real, but humans certainly are. And humans can feel like monsters. But, it isn't a monster that's doing it. It's a person. And that's why people are so scary because, you don't know which kind of a person you're dealing with.
Puff and Justin, they walked out with confidence. The next day, the reporter showed up. They told them something totally different. They reported that.
So the reporter changed, or the story got told differently. Either the reporter told it differently or they told it differently, but it's not like Puff and Justin told it differently. Now, again, this goes back to the irony of active fathers in the home. I know everyone thinks like the issue with children or men is that they don't have active fathers, but you can have an active father and he still be bad if the active father is Diddy. So you have to make sure that active father is also a good father, right? The active parent is also a good parent. And I think this is just really sad to see him rope his kids into this, to train his kids to raise another generation of violent men. Now, my hope is his other kids or one of his kids will break this generational curse for the family. Will maybe be the first one to chip at it. We don't always get the luxury or privilege of breaking a generational curse, but we do and can chip at it a little at a time.
That video was after I had helped them get to the ambulance.
Oh, I wonder if Diddy knows he recorded this. So he said he recorded this basically after the guy got picked up.
Where he's at? He just disappeared.
What? Nobody knows where he's at?
And at the studio, everybody acting like it never happened. Fortunately, if you want to make it to something in this industry, you have to work for certain people like Puffy. He's one of the gatekeepers.
Which is why I'm saying not worth it. Not worth it. Give me middle class living any day. Who needs rich and fame if the cage is this, this way?
This will pay my kids' bills and my grandkids. So I just want to get right back to work.
So he basically said, you know, he understood that if he paid this price, to some extent, if he just put his head down and worked, he could guarantee success for his family for a long time. And that's the temptation. That's the temptation every corporation uses, every gangster uses, every politician uses. If you just put your head down and grind for a couple years, you'll be free. But there's never freedom at the end of it.
We're working on this Justin Bieber song.
See, everyone, so now Justin's in the picture, Justin Bieber's in the picture, not Justin Combs. And, you know, there's a lot of speculation over what happened to Justin. There's that infamous clip of Diddy patting Justin down, almost like checking for a wire. I just can't be surprised that something happened, you know?
He had a bunch of people taking stabs at it, trying to crack the code, and couldn't. And I played that song. He danced for probably 4 hours straight.
Isn't that amazing? Like, some part of my brain does understand how significant this is because you're creating art. They are literally creating art. But if you know anything about the history of artists, a lot of them were deeply horrible people. And it's not that you have to be a horrible person to create good art, but sometimes horrible people are really, really good at making really good art. I mean, Kanye is one of those people. And so, like, when you think about it from that perspective and you think about Diddy's ear, his ability to hear a hit, it is a very interesting skill. But what we do is we blind ourselves to their evil in order to benefit from their talent. And this is the time in history in which we're finally having, thanks in large part to women, the conversation around maybe not. Maybe we should stop pedestaling these celebrities in this particular way very seriously. Because, you know, conservatives will pretend they don't like celebrities and so on and so forth, but then they'll vote for Reagan and Trump. They like celebrities as much as anybody else, okay? But seriously, we have to stop pedestaling celebrities and talented people who happen to be philosophically evil and ask ourselves, is there no good person in the world who's also talented? Because no offense to Diddy, there are other people like Diddy who could be good. They're just not willing to do what it takes to be famous like Diddy, but they exist. I mean, there's billions of people on the planet. They just haven't been willing to do the immoral things like killing people that Diddy's been willing to do, right? Assault people that Diddy's been willing to do. So, you know, I don't think Diddy's talent is Diddy specific. I just think he happens to be one of those people.
And it was at that moment, he flew me to Miami to work at his house.
Never lie to you. Life ain't perfect, we just live it. Fuck what they say we did, we just did it.
Diddy flew him to the house. He's in the in group. And he feels like it's taken off, you know, which is so interesting. Like, you just saw a guy die or disappear. You gave him medical care, and now you're working with the same guy that shot him. I'd be so afraid.
While we're working on this album, he's recording everything all.
I was just gonna say, it seems like Diddy really records everything all day, and he's confirming he does.
Day, all the time.
Little Rod provided the filmmakers with footage of his 13 months working with Combs. I wondered, the internet kept saying, where did he get this footage? Where's this footage from?
I'm on a yacht with him, and there's a song where he's talking to Cassie. He's telling her, please come on home. But I just remember it because 8 bars took us probably 7 months to record.
Cry for you. No. Come on, yeah, let's go. Come on, Chad.
Apparently, he's having a hard time. He's going through it. He's like, you know, emotional.
Fucking lukewarm, and y'all gonna be hot. You don't wanna be lukewarm.
It's weird because he's a little, and again, we're not fatphobic, but he's a little chunky here. And so he just kind of looks like a sad Santa. He's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like funny. Like, now the fatness is funny, but you know, like seeing Diddy bigger and then complaining and crying it's giving Nikocado Avocado a little bit.
Jesus walking on water. You know what I'm saying? Or Jesus having a breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? Because I can only compare myself to the Son of God.
This man, I'm literally, my podcast this week features Trump. And Trump, I'm the chosen one. You know, his obsession with being like, I don't ask God for forgiveness. The grandioseness. We talked about it last time. The grandiose.
I didn't realize it, but he was definitely grooming.
Work hard to get those gifts, those sneakers, those shoes.
You know, he promised me $250,000. He also promised me a house right next door.
Grooming can happen to adults. It can happen to same-gendered people. It can happen non-sexually. It can happen with a lot of things, right? That's how people keep control when they're corrupt. They have a manipulation tactic that they utilize, and that this is it.
We gotta figure out how to touch on some deeper level than the surface shit we've been rapping about. You know what I'm saying?
That's when it began to get a little weird for me. We'll show a video with someone penetrating a Caucasian man.
Do people know he's showing people these videos? Obviously not, because we learned that in the first and second episodes that he records people and shares it without their consent. But so here we go. Diddy is into, I think, all genders, or at least men and women, probably non-binary people, right? So here this starts. Wow.
This is the way to success in the music. And I'm like confused. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, is this like a joke?
Man, let's keep the frequency high, man.
They'll be doing these freak offs and it'll be Puff and Justin in the room with multiple.
Oh, was there incest going on? Is that what like the implication is? I mean, I kind of feel like if you're having sex in the same room as your dad, that's like incest, you know? I think people see it as like a passage of growth in these really fucked up communities, like the misogynist patriarchal communities, but I think it's just incest. You know, I've done my fair share of foursomes consensually, and I feel like if we're in the room having sex next to each other, that's having sex with each other, you know, a little bit.
Now you're 50 plus, Puff. How is this fun for you at 50 something years old? Like, are you doing it to keep up with the kids?
It goes back to fatherhood. You didn't groom him to take over this company. You groomed him to do the same things that you're doing. And the sad part about it is you will never know if they agree or disagree with their father.
You'll never know because they can't say it because he'll threaten their life. That's what I'm saying. If all of us who don't have Diddy as dad also know what it's like to have a dad that you can't always share stuff with because he's sensitive and won't go to therapy and he's like, he's like a wall if you try to talk to him. Now imagine your dad is Diddy on top of that. Jesus.
It would be the 2C, cocaine, or even Molly. We were all on these products.
You know what's crazy too is like you think of it in relation to like Elon or Vivian, and like Vivian got away, but I worry about Vivian. Like I worry about these men in great positions of power who think their children are dead or don't talk to their kids. Like I think in many ways Diddy is vengeful enough that I think his kids are trapped. I can't assume that his kids are safe enough to leave in a big way. And look, they didn't talk about Kim Porter's death. She died from pneumonia, which allegedly was confirmed. But, you know, her father and some other people might have alluded it to the fact that they don't feel like it was really pneumonia. But people do die from pneumonia. But also with Diddy's history, I understand that people feel like suspicious, you know. But yeah, I do wonder about his kids, right? How trapped they feel by their father.
Puff got God eyes or God spirit, or he always knows. Like people, he built his perception. And that's when I realized that, this whole property, there's hidden cameras everywhere.
Oh, of course. Why didn't I think about that? Of course it does. Why did I even think he would give them privacy? There's probably cameras in the bathroom. He probably has cameras everywhere.
For days we would party, I would wake up not knowing what the
Hold on. Isn't the guy they just showed on TV one of the infamous ones who was exposed as like taking bribery and stuff? The pastor?
hell happened. Some days those girls next to me woke up, some days he was in the bed.
He said some days there would be girls in the bed with me. Sometimes I would wake up and he would be in the bed. And then he said earlier that, you know, he didn't always know what he was taking because everything was drugged and laced.
Page, I ain't hiding nothing. I ain't scared of nothing. That's the season that I'm in.
I would wake up feeling sore, still not understanding exactly.
Oh, I'm so proud of him for sharing, but that's so hard. How scary. I've known people who have woken up after having one glass of wine with no memory and just in a very disturbing state. And it's very scary. And I'm very sad for him. Wow. I really hope his victims have gotten amazing therapists and have been given the chance to let the burden go of blaming themselves, because, you know, people really blame themselves.
This is me starting to understand that I was drugged pretty often.
Devastating. I think sometimes in these groups of men who think women are secondary like furniture, they think it's okay to abuse a woman because it's a girl. But when they find out it's happening to them, they're like, oh my gosh. And not that this man in particular thought that, but that sometimes I find that these groups of men justify it when it's a woman, and they're only terrified when they realize it could be them. And yeah.
Christina, that's Puff's chief of staff. And I thought it would be more, understood if I took it to someone who's a woman.
Damn. Oh, I'm so sad for him. Women uphold patriarchy. Women really are taught and are believed they believe that they need a strong man to protect them against other men because, otherwise they'll be the next target. And that's why, you don't want to do anything out of fear. It's why I talk about it all the time on my channel. If fear is your motivator, it's probably philosophically evil. And that's what's so bad about this situation is like everyone is so afraid you can't do the right thing. And if you're the facilitator of that fear, that is so evil, right? And that's what Diddy is. He's the facilitator of the fear.
She was always like, try to like downplay it.
And that's normal. Think about your regular conversations with your friends and family. I mean, heck, even I've done it in the past where like I downplay people's actions because I'm thinking, no way, dude, no way. Somebody we know, no way. And then you start to realize like, oh, especially someone you know. Especially someone you know.
I think KK was the worst gatekeeper he ever had. You know the story of the two wolves? Which wolf wins? The wolf you feed? All of us were cognizant of the bad wolf, but we're feeding the good wolf. And the good wolf in this case scenario, it's a history breaker.
KK, help me out, because you in this too, KK.
Oh, but KK, so they're saying KK always fed the bad wolf, the negative side of Diddy, the violent side of Diddy, versus the good wolf. They were all trying to feed that guy, the guy who would sell a record, the guy who would make music, the guy who would do great things, which by the way, the good wolf is what throws us off about the bad wolf, because we want to assume in our life that the people we know, their good side, that's their real self. But the truth is like, you know, what is the self? And this is why we do philosophy, because it, you know, it really brings into question, like, what is the self? Is the self my body? Is it the way people perceive me? Is it my consciousness? Is it my actions? Is it my thoughts? And the question is like, who is the real Diddy? Who knows? But he's still responsible either way.
Someone who's like good with the PR side of it too, to like get out there and spin it.
I believe that they fed the bad wolf.
Give me some real love. Turn that TV off. Just the energy just ain't right. That's my life.
You know what's interesting is this really reminds me of Bianca and Kanye and Kim, but like, I worry about Bianca all the time. Like, I just see the art that she does in quotation marks with Kanye, and I just think like, what is this? And that worry is justified, you know, given this. It's so justified. These men who are grandiose, they think they're the greatest thing. They think they're Jesus Christ himself. And it's like, girl, even Jesus Christ wasn't Jesus Christ. Just a reminder that Jesus Christ at best worst was a man 2,000 years ago who just convinced people he was a god and y'all believed him and then made a religion about it. But like, he's not a good person. Like, if Jesus was alive today, he would be that homeless guy on the side of the road saying like, the sky is falling.
And I'm just trying to fake the funk.
And they can't.
Yeah, I think we all know people who've had to do that, or we've been in similar situations.
And they can't
Fuck with us.
fuck with us. But then, right after I finished the album, they kept putting my business on the back burner.
Yep. So he did the same thing to him. He overpromised. He was like, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get to you. And then he delayed, and he's trying to get out. That's another way Diddy probably keeps them around is if you leave me, you lose everything, but I'll never give you what you want. So you never leave.
And it was like, where's my payment?
Yeah, I'm on it, bro, but I'm not gonna be able to get nothing done today.
How many times have we heard that?
And I was like, where's my money?
Hey, yo, bro, it's gonna take that time that I said.
He didn't want to pay the people closest to him because if you have money, you have a little bit more bravado about how you move.
And you can leave. This is how abusive relationships work, right? This is why people want women to have their own money in a dynamic heterosexual relationship. But I would caution you because I feel like, again, if you want a healthy relationship, you should be with someone like you. You know, you would never abuse somebody. You know, you would never steal money from people. You know, you would never do this to somebody. You would never cheat on them. You need to be with that person. You cannot be with people that you're worried are going to do things to you that you would never do to people. And that's kind of the problem. We keep mistaking like what it means to date healthy. And we keep thinking like if we're in a relationship with a person, as long as we have our own money to leave, it's okay. No, if you need your own money to leave, you shouldn't be dating this person. And that's the problem is like we keep dating people who threaten our lives, our safety. And that's what he's doing here. He is truly in an abusive relationship with everybody in his life.
He didn't want you to ever to feel too comfortable. He wanted you to feel like there's a carrot being dangled.
He enjoys to see him having and everybody else wanting and needing.
Exactly.
And I don't want no, problem with you. You feeling like I'm not taking it seriously. I'm just telling you that the time it takes.
I didn't just get nominated for a Grammy. We just got nominated for a Grammy.
I'm starting to get concerned about you.
He was calling me like left and right.
You actually sent me something that I could take a certain way. Like you trying to make a problem with somebody that don't want a problem.
If you've known somebody like Diddy in your life, even 1% of this personality type, and I have, they are the people that I am worried they're going to pull up one day and try something because they have exactly this obsession, this entitlement, this sense of, I can never do anything wrong, that there's not a good way for me to do it, but a good way for you to do it. Like, In what world is this appropriate for you not to pay somebody for doing work? Right? But he's like, God, this is so normal. Why do you want your money so fast? You don't trust me? You don't think I'm going to get you your money? Bro, pay him. Pay him so we know we can trust you. And then he makes you feel crazy because like, why are you being so weird? I've got you, you know?
I don't know who's in your head or what's going on in your head.
This. I don't know who you've been talking to. I don't know why you would think this of me. I don't know who's been in your ear. You've been in my ear. It's you, bro. You're the data. But they go, oh, who are you talking to? Who's whispering things? You.
I hope your ass ain't bipolar, little Leroy.
I hope your ass ain't bipolar.
I don't really like the way that this shit feels, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't taking shit personally.
2 Thanksgivings, 2 Christmases, my kid's birthday. All they offered me producing this album was $29,000.
Ooh, $29,000 for 2 years, missed holidays, birthdays, assault, $29,000.
Which I still ain't even got that to this day.
And he hasn't even gotten it to this day. This is truly one of the most evil bubbles I've ever seen. Wow.
Yeah, Lil Rod, you know, I never see or meant nothing but love for you, and I just would never be on the side of some bullshit with you, you know what I'm saying?
You know what's interesting too is like I wonder how much the young crew knows about the old stuff, and probably not much, to be honest, right? So they're going in really ignorant because people will say like, how don't people know? It's all over the news. But you know, I was just explaining this to my family, to my siblings, like Charlie Kirk's a really good example of this, where it was purposeful and strategic that you would only know Charlie one way versus how the internet knew him. I know the streets knew who Diddy was, but Ellen and the media didn't. So, well, allegedly. So when we think about, you know, should they know? Why would they know? What are they going to do? Who are they going to talk to? Who are they going to Google? Right? Like you hear about Tupac. We've heard about Tupac our whole lives. And now it's becoming so clear like how obvious everything feels. But how long did it take it for it to feel obvious, right?
I think about you. I think about you in your hats and how talented you are, making me smile and your fucking smile and everything, and your limp leg. Nigga, don't fuck with the way I think about you over the.
He's a bit in love, I believe.
The album had probably been out a little over a month. All of a sudden, CNN comes on.
In our pop culture lead, just in, producer and musician Sean
Combs accused of doing such and such with
So okay, yeah. What a crazy timeline.
Rodney Little Rod Jones worked with Combs on his latest Love album.
Oh, now I remember who he is. Oh, it's all coming back to me.
Combs sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him while working on the project.
And just a reminder for all the people that are like, why didn't he come forward? Why didn't he say anything? He literally saw or witnessed or was in the room when a shooting happened and then had his life threatened. So just remember, like, okay, I've seen you guys lie and cheat for less.
Tell myself, man, it was time for me to now stand up for justice. Standing up for justice for myself actually stands up for justice for everybody.
You shouldn't report.
Oh, they said, hey, you shouldn't be recording. Too late. Rodney Little Rod Jones' civil lawsuit was the 5th among more than 100 civil cases filed against Sean Combs, alleging sexual assault and related misconduct. Combs' attorney called Jones's allegations bold-faced lies. Oh, it's bald-faced lies. Well, okay. As of airing, the case remains pending. Well, fingers crossed. I hope he gets justice.
As all of the civil lawsuits started to come down, I had a lawyer reach out to me in regards to an affidavit that they had received, a person that was allegedly a victim and that wanted me to be aware of something that she had seen.
Oh, no. So Aubrey O'Day, I'm worried for her. What did she see? Oh, no.
I was told it was an assault.
Oh, because you have to remember, like, he's really using heavy drugs on these people. Like, things are happening to them that they don't even know.
I walked in on Sean Combs and another individual sexually assaulting Aubrey O'Day.
Jesus, bro. So this is a person, I think they're still anonymous. Like, I don't know who this is, but I guess we're going to find out through these details, right, of who this is. But they witnessed it happening to Aubrey.
I had forgotten which door the restroom was in, so I went down the hallway and I kept opening doors.
So the person is just saying that they tried to go to the restroom, but didn't know their way around the house. They were opening a bunch of doors, and that's how they saw it happening.
What I saw as soon as I opened the door was Aubrey sprawled out on a leather couch, looking very inebriated. She was naked from the bottom half. Puff Daddy was penetrating in her vagina, and there was another stocky, light-skinned man with his penis in her mouth.
This is devastating. Like, imagine getting this news, like, imagining the horror. Like, how scary to not, like, know what happened to you.
I haven't read I only heard it when it was read over the phone. I've not read it myself. Aubrey looked out of it and was just lying there. I am 100% certain that the woman I saw was Aubrey O'Day.
Like, this should make us feel really disgusted. Like, really disgusted.
I told Conrad that night what I had seen, and his response was for me to mind my business.
In order to hold men accountable, we need other men to say something. But I understand why men feel like they can't when they're victimized themselves and assaulted themselves. But for all the men that are doing the assaulting and are not being assaulted, that are part of the chain of predatory behavior, right? The direct chain. You know what I mean? And I understand and I agree that Diddy should be held the most accountable, period. And I also understand that as a collective, we are more than the one. So it's like, you know, it's that realization, how can one man control this many people? Pretty easily. But then what does that say about us as a collective?
Even after I told her I didn't have a recollection of this, I said, could she be making a mistake? I asked in every way I possibly could think of. She was certain.
So Aubrey doesn't remember.
Does this mean I was raped?
Yeah, it does. That's devastating. I have nothing really insightful to say except to say that this is happening to people. This has happened to people I know. Regular people dating, quote, nice guys, you know, set up by their friends, set up by people they know in their network. And that's why when people say, like, meet a nice guy through work or meet a nice guy through your friends, doesn't matter really how you meet them. At the end of the day, the individual, you just never know who they're going to be. And they might be a person who spikes your drinks. And they might be a person who rapes you. And it's just devastating. It really is. It's like there's no other word for it. And this is also why we say men as a system, because men as a system collectively have the physical and capital strength to silence victims, even other men. And that's why we are asking men as a group, as a system, to change, to do something, to deconstruct. Because, you know, if we don't do this together, it's not going to happen. But as long as you keep deciding not to help, you will create a rift naturally because people will have to protect themselves. And it just sucks from a gender deconstruction, you know, perspective. I don't want to live in a world where people who are men are always seen as predatory. And so I would never individually judge a man that way. But as a collective, as a system, it's hard not to. Because when push comes to shove, you're just as dangerous as the man who directly did the assaulting, just standing by and watching it. And so you can't be trusted either. And yes, we saw from this documentary that women also uphold the standard. We know that. But it's not women as a system because women have no power or capital under patriarchy. Obviously, in a different world, that would be different. But the opposite of man is not woman. The opposite of woman is not man. We're here collectively working in a world that there's a hierarchy. White supremacy is also playing a role in this. You know, there's something to be said about this happening. Sean Combs being pedestaled as this black savior. Right? We haven't even talked about the racism of it all. But there is something here at play that is so layered. And if you don't understand how human beings work, you don't understand how systems work, you won't get it. And you'll think, oh, it's just like, oh, it's just you're making labels and I don't know what patriarchy means. And I get it. I used to be there too. I used to also not understand it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you realize it, you're like, it's, you know, it's why it is so common for us to think the guy's just having a bad day. Oh, he normally would never hit me. He was just having a bad day. Or, oh, he would never, you know, normally do this. It was just a really bad day for him until it becomes a pattern of behavior that follows you into your death.
I don't even know if I was raped and I don't want to know.
Oh, she said she didn't want to know. I get it. It's hard to believe it. I would really struggle to believe it. I mean, I would probably cry about it and feel it, but it would be hard to try to remember something I don't remember, you know? That's so, oh, wow.
Aubrey, I'm from Irvine and I'm 20 years old.
Irvine, California. Oh, I'm from Orange County. I spent so much of my life in Irvine.
I don't want to find out any more that woman has to say. The burden that puts on my soul for the past year.
Oh, so now she's frustrated that she's put in this position of either wanting to believe this woman lied almost because she has no memory of it, but also terrified of what it would mean if it was real. And also it puts her in this rough place. And this is why I say sometimes people don't want to know. Like sometimes people don't want to know that their husbands are cheating. Sometimes they don't want to know what's been happening. But I think that that's why it's so hard to be a good person, because I think in many ways, like the right thing to do is tell somebody. And then there's a lot of emotions that come with that, you know? September 11th, 2024, 5 days before Sean Combs' arrest.
For months is facing another lawsuit. Dawn Richard from Dirty Money
suing Sean Diddy Combs for alleged assault.
Oh, Dawn is suing him. Dawn was from the other episode. The two girls who were in a group with him, and Dawn and Sean Oh, Dawn is one of the victims who came forward. Wow. I'm proud of her.
Lawyer said these complaints are full of lies.
The fact that we saw him beat the fuck out of Cassie and he has the audacity to be like, these things are lies. Homie, it's over. At least, you know, to any reasonable person, hey, great first date question. What do you think about Diddy Combs? Because any man that's willing to make any excuse for Diddy Combs' behavior, any woman, any person, any gender, never talk to that person again. Let's go. And or be very open with boundaries if you need to, quote, keep them in your life because it's like your dad, you know, but open with boundaries.
Media is the most powerful industry in the world. Hey, yo, you think we can hire an editor to go and find all the Dawn clips?
Hire an editor to go find all the Dawn clips, you know, because they've been recording everything for years, probably to keep dirt on people, honestly.
If you don't control your narrative, somebody else will control it. Say any Dawn Richard interview where she speaks positively.
Look at this. Digging up dirt, finding clips. And I know as a YouTuber, you know, as people who watch YouTube, how easy it is for people to switch the narratives, how we can edit a narrative into any video, how we could take people out of context and clip them and da-da-da-da. Or in Charlie Kirk's case, get him literally within context and still be accused of taking him out of context.
The city looking pretty. This case is going to be played in real time. It's going to be played in front of the public.
Talking to fans, taking selfies.
He loves it. He loves the attention. I won't lie, from their perspective, from a fan's perspective, they're probably thinking, Diddy's so down to earth. He's so cool. He takes photos with the fans. I mean, it looks good until you realize how disgusting it is.
Diddy was staying in Midtown Manhattan. He apparently knew this was coming.
I mean, of course he did, right? Like, I assume he had somebody tell him. He probably knows a police officer or 7.
The indictment alleges Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy.
This man has been arrested so many times.
Risk of witness tampering.
They say just last week he contacted a witness over 50 times.
I remember this happening in the news. Diddy was trying to get into witnesses' heads. He was contacting them. You imagine getting a call 50 times from anybody, let alone Diddy.
Lena Harper was the most recent person we know of that he contacted. That was after September 10th, after Dawn Richard filed.
This was
So Dawn and Kalina, so they were part of the group, the Dirty Money group, the 2 girls and Diddy group. That was them.
Breakdown.
It's a Dirty Money crew. This is Dawn, as you know. Boom. It's Kalina.
Aww. See, in some ways, this should have been a beautiful, nostalgic thing. And now it's just tainted and it's ugly. And look how he's always in white, like he's an angel. I mean, obviously we know white is on purpose in general, but I think he does it on purpose to like look clean, as if to signal heavenly or heaven or something. You know what I mean?
I get this call at 11 o'clock and he's panicking.
Dawn is dropping something, saying all types of crazy psycho shit. I can't even I'm in an investigation. She putting this shit in like she's bugging.
Okay, so right away he calls Kalina. She's like, what did she say? He's like, I'll send it to you. I need you to like stand up for me.
And my heart literally drops on the floor.
Dawn Richard is suing Sean Diddy Combs for alleged assault.
She and her bandmate Kalina Harper waited in the kitchen where many of them appeared to be lethargic or passed out while Diddy and his guests performed sexual acts on them.
You know what sucks too is like when you come forward with your story, sometimes you hesitate because it means it's somebody else's story and you don't want to take that away from them, but you still have to come forward if it's ready for your, if it's your time. But it's hard. You feel bad knowing that somebody else maybe isn't ready.
Yeah, but like statement something. I mean, whatever statement, interview, this is interview.
I am caught up in a contentious child custody battle. The only person I could call in the beginning was Puff.
Damn. So now she's had a kid. I don't know who's the father. She's in a custody battle. Assuming it's a father, it could be a woman. She's in a custody battle. It's contentious. It's bad. And Puff is the only one who can come through for her. And that's kind of, again, how the cycle continues. This is so similar to Mario Puzo's The Godfather, where Michael wants out of the family business, but he gets reeled back in, tempted, reeled back in. He wants to leave. He's over it. It's disgusting to him. But boom, all of a sudden he's the Don.
And at the time, he was like, I can't help because I'm doing something else.
What? You don't have $5K to give her? First of all, he has $5K to give her. And second of all, how dare he even ask for it back? Okay, so now like he won't give her $5K for her her custody battle, but he wants her to go on the record that he didn't assault her.
And he said no.
He said he couldn't help me. I said, that's fucked up, because I needed you, my nigga.
Lena, she's a big key. Especially if she's with her every time. You know what I'm saying?
That person talking is Justin Combs. That's his son. You can't see it. He's a little out of camera for you guys, but he's definitely taking over the business by the way this documentary is filmed.
It's not right. You gotta figure out what you gotta do.
They act so slighted. It's not right. What these women are doing is not right. What these men are doing is not right. They're also, that's fucked up, man. Like they feel so like victimized. They're so victimized. Self-victimization. It's very interesting.
God told me to do nothing.
God told me to do nothing. He loves God, man. He talks about it. I think it's himself. Do you think he's hearing voices? No, like, I'm not saying that derogatory. I mean, literally, like, is he hearing the sound of God in his head, but it's like him?
It was like, this is a prime opportunity to tell him, I know you got that going on, but I got this going on. I want my kids, but I have to talk to my husband because anything I say can fuck around and not, I could not get my kids back.
So she's in a hard place too, because she's talking about talking to her husband. I assume maybe she's remarried. And then she's like, I'm going through something right now. I don't know why Dawn's doing what she's doing, because she's probably not thinking about her past with Diddy, right? And at the same time, like, she's just focused on getting her kids back. So it's like this weird thing. Maybe she's hoping to leverage her relationship with Diddy in order to get her kids back, which, you know, she is a mother and the priority is her kids.
So I was like, look, y'all can't call me because you're scared to go to jail now. Rush for me to say anything. I need time to think about it.
Yeah, she's really going through it. It's stressful. I can't imagine how stressed everybody is.
But I don't want people to think like I'm trying to wear a bulletproof vest for Puff, because I'm not.
So she's in a tough place because she never saw the assault happen. But then, did we just hear a story that she and Dawn were found incapacitated or at least heavily drugged and people were doing stuff to them? So maybe things happened to her and she doesn't know, right?
It's just like, I'm not a bad person.
Yeah, I think this is what's hard. Look, we are all responsible for the way that the world is. We all engage in philosophical evil. It's why we have to hold ourselves accountable and deconstruct. But at the end of the day, Diddy is still the most responsible. And yet, we all have to be held accountable for how we participated in what we did. And there must be a path to redemption. So somebody might say, is there a path to redemption for Puff? Yes, funny enough. It's staying locked up and staying away from people and giving up everything you've built to the victims and giving everybody a chance to take control of their life again. It's giving everything up, because his empire was built on the backs of these people. His empire was built, at the expense of their lives, right? Call it reparations. Okay? But his way to accountability is disappearing from the limelight, staying locked up, and doing rehab or whatever, but giving these people a second chance, giving these people a retirement so they can spend the rest of their days meditating and going to therapy and living out the rest of their lives with their kids and having some sense of joy.
And I wasn't around that shit. Like, I don't fucking know what they was doing. I don't know.
Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if she's afraid to say anything. I don't know if she did witness something, but she swears she didn't. Like, she's probably still very scared. This is probably still very scary for her.
I just felt like me and you was close enough like that. I ain't never asked nobody to make a statement. You know what I'm saying? But I feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable with asking you, because I know real deal, real dog shit. If it's a nigga's funeral, that you be jumping in my casket.
Because I love you,
bitch.
Yeah, you remember how she said in the beginning, I think it was her. She said he was the man I wanted to be. I wonder if she's still in like that toxic connection with him. You know what I mean?
I really do.
I bet she does love him. I mean, why wouldn't she? We love our abusive parents. We love our abusive boyfriends. We love our abusive everything. Like, we love abusers. Not because we love being abused, but because we love the goodness we see in them. And it's very hard to get away from your abuser.
You know how I feel about you, but it's all good. Sometimes you gotta put yourself and your family first.
Kalina Harper from the group Diddy Dirty Money is speaking out in support of the music mogul.
Many of the allegations and incidents described in this suit are not representative of my experiences, and some do not align with my own truth.
It happens. It wouldn't be the first time. I think she is covering for Diddy based off of this. I'm sad for her. I'm sad for her kids. I think she probably saw stuff. It'd be hard not to. And I think things probably did happen, but people really struggled to come forward. I can't tell you how many times in my own family I've had conversations about people, and they'll be like, that was a different time. That was a different expectation. Like, people were different then. And they'll say, I love this person. How dare you say this thing about them? And I'm saying loving them, it's not about loving them. I love them too. But we still have to hold them accountable. And they're like, well, what does that look like? What does that mean? People are afraid. They're afraid to lose their loved ones. So we make excuses for their behavior. And I know people think it's easy, like, oh, I would just not talk to them again. But any person who's truly loved somebody and had to stop talking to them, had to cut ties, they know it's not easy. Any person that's left an abusive relationship, you know it's not easy. Any person who says it's easy has never done it. Not really. Not truly, because it is very hard. It's very hard, and we are not God, unlike what Diddy thinks, okay? So I'm sad for her. I'm sad that she chose to defend him. But interesting that she chose to defend him, but now she's back on this dock with 50 Cent. So I'm assuming she then turned against Diddy. So let's see.
I got a text from the lead investigator. You've been formally subpoenaed. They had talked to well over 200 people before they got to me. They were like, you kept coming up. You kept coming up. You kept coming up.
Oh, so Capricorn, who's the assistant, she put a front for Diddy to think she was on his side, but she wasn't.
Then they say, is there anything missing? And I blew their minds. It was 2011. Puff and myself had moved to Los Angeles. So when Cassie's stepping out, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friend. And who is he? Kid Cudi.
Oh, Kid Cudi, he blew up his car.
Wake up the next morning. She texts me. She says, hey, can Scott go hiking with us? And then the hairs raised on my arm.
Because Diddy is jealous. He's a jealous man. You know, they say, what's that saying? No wrath like a woman scorned or whatever. I think they were talking about men when they wrote that.
He can cheat on you. You can't cheat on him, Cassie.
Oh, got it. So he's Myron from Fresh and Fit. I can sleep with other people, but you can't sleep with other people. Got it. And imagine that pressure. Imagine being in a position where just somebody asking, can my friend come hang out with us, puts your life in danger.
Kid Cudi goes hiking with us. Totally normal day. About a week after we went hiking, in the morning, I hear her banging at my door.
Oh no.
He has a gun.
No, brother, this man loves guns.
He's mad as hell.
Definitely voted for Trump.
And he's like, yeah, fuck all this. Go get dressed. We're gonna go kill him.
The problem is, like, when I review this and you're hearing my review, I don't want you to hear like Brittany's making excuses or Brittany's saying this, that. I'm explaining things. I'm explaining how we got here. Remember that all these people used to be babies. And the question is, how do babies grow up and become these kinds of adults? How do they get into these kinds of situations? I believe these things are preventable. I think most predatory behavior is preventable. I believe predators are conditioned most of the time. 99% of the time, I think predatory behavior is conditioned from culture, through biological relationships with self, philosophical relationship with self. So again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to explain why this would happen and why there is a gender dynamic and why there's a race dynamic. As much as people want to say there isn't, in a class dynamic. Like, I don't know why people watch these types of videos and then go like, why are you making it about men and women? Why are you making it gendered? The whole concept is gendered. What are you talking about?
And he's like, I don't give a fuck what you want to do. He kidnapped me. And we drove 15 minutes up to Cudi's house. And I called Cassie. He came and got me with a gun. We came up to Cudi's house to kill him. He's inside the house. I don't know what's going on, Cassie. What the fuck is going on? What happened? She said, Cudi's with me. And he was like, tell her I have you and I'm not gonna let you go.
Oh, great. So now she's being held hostage at gunpoint. Cool.
She says, come get me. He immediately begins kicking shit out of her. She was just crouching. Like, what y'all gotta do is tell Cudi to not tell the police it's me. I get in trouble today for this bitch, I'm killing everybody.
I believe him. There's some really serious shit happening right now, which means like we won't even hear the end of it even for another 20 years. Like the cult leaders who still run the cult inside of prison. You think Diddy's still not running shit inside of prison?
I was fired and I went from being in charge of the company to you'll never be a president of any company.
So she was fired over that whole incident? That's crazy. I mean, good for her, right? But at the same time, I know you're asking yourself like, well, why is she there? Isn't she just as bad as him? No. How can she be just as bad as him? Is she also pulling people at gunpoint and going to kill people? No. But she's complicit. She's helping him. And at the end of the day, that's her accountability. The people around Diddy are accountable for helping him. They're accountable for standing by, but it's a spectrum because even victims can participate in helping predators, but there's a spectrum to it, guys. So everybody must be held uniquely accountable. But remember that Diddy has to be held the most accountable.
But I protected you because I had more love for the culture than to embarrass him and take it all away from him like that.
Which is why you have to deconstruct culture and tradition. I always say to you, I love that you guys have tradition. I love that Assyrians have tradition. But if it comes at the expense of our kids, destroy it. Take your traditions and throw them away. And that's really hard for us because a lot of us survive on that culture. A lot of us survive on that feeling of connectivity to something greater than ourselves, something bigger than ourselves. Not worth it if it comes at the expense of our kids, which is why there was no America that was great again, right? You can't make America great again. Never was. You can't go back to tradition. It's bullshit. Can't bring Christ back into schools. He never helped. Destroy it all. Take away all this tradition and let's move forward with data, science, healthy lifestyles, compassion, love, all the stuff. None of this is helpful. None of this is good.
Trauma that this case has caused me.
You know what's crazy is I just wish women would come together and build their own industries, but they can't because patriarchy will squash it. It's like when black communities tried to make Black Wall Street and white nationalists, white supremacists came in and destroyed it. You think if women came together to create something, men wouldn't get in the way? They wouldn't try to destroy it? At the end of the day, the people in power do not want to see you rise up in power. That's why the American dream is bullshit. Because the illusion of the American dream is that someone who comes from nothing can be something and still be a good person and it not come at the expense of people, and you can raise the whole community status. The community status can only raise as much as the system allows. And that's why patriarchy is a system. Women cannot rise to power in any capacity equal to men because patriarchy won't let them. The illusion people have about how involved women are, we've never had a female president. CEOs are mostly men. When we run into capital and net worth, it's mostly men. I don't know why we keep playing these games where we think women are in charge. The point I'm trying to make is that, again, systems versus individuals. Both have to live in harmony, but they're very different things. They have different levels of power.
Has been more traumatized than the first go round with it because now I have to tell you what he did before I could pretend it was fine.
Again, if every woman who has been complicit in Diddy's actions has also been a victim of rape of Diddy, then that explains the victim cycle. That's why you can't hold his rape victims accountable in the same way. He's literally assaulted them. He's literally abused them. He's groomed them, right? How can you hold them accountable at the same rate as the perpetrator? You know, who's going around raping Diddy? Who's going around assaulting him? Who's going around drugging his drinks? Nobody. He's doing it to other people. And that's the point. You can't hold them to the same standard.
I didn't call him the devil until Cassie finally came out and said something.
The most anticipated trial of the year officially underway in New York City.
And by the way, because she didn't continue the story, so I don't know if she was trying to imply something also happened to her directly or they're going to cover it. But even if nothing directly happened to her, things happened to her. She was kidnapped at gunpoint. Things like that probably happened before. So she is definitely a victim, regardless if it was sexual assault or other forms of violence. On May 12, 2025, United States versus Combs commenced in federal district court in Manhattan. After a 7-week trial and 3 days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict.
Count one, not guilty. Next target, Alpha Cassandra Ventura, not guilty.
Sean Combs was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking. He was found guilty of lesser charges of transportation to engage in prostitution.
It is a mixed verdict, if you will.
When we were in the deliberation room and we've come to an agreement, my words exactly were, oh, S-H-I-T.
You think that justice was served?
100%.
Today is a win.
I wasn't shocked by the verdict. He knows how to control the narrative or change the narrative by throwing money at it.
And there it is, right there. But we already know the truth. He beat the fuck out of Cassie. We know the truth. We've seen the evidence. We know there's so many testimonies. There's so much proof. There's so much evidence. And it's not going to be enough for people. They're still going to find a way to justify Diddy Combs.
Sean threw good money towards a bad situation.
And look at the team of lawyers, the team of defense lawyers. That's why people think defense lawyers are the most evil people on the planet. But look, even innocent people need defense lawyers.
8 lawyers.
Combs' legal team, which has been dubbed the Dream Team.
How do these people sleep at night? I don't know. I don't know how these people sleep at night because I certainly couldn't. So remember, it's not just the Diddy's at the top, it's the team he has around him. So yes, everybody is complicit, but in different ways, including these lawyers.
I'm not a rapper, music lover or anything, so I did zero knowledge about him.
Grew up listening to the music that he was involved in. I wasn't like a personal fan of his.
Easy for him to play on people's consciousness.
It was a lot. Other people from social media, they were right there with me.
So during the trial, I knew some YouTubers who were there as well, like vloggers, bloggers, people were allowed, YouTubers, content creators, and they saw it at work. Of course there's a PR team, of course. He's gonna throw anything he can. He's gonna get a whole team of people just write positive comments on social media. He's gonna buy bots, he's gonna do the whole thing. Why wouldn't he?
Diddy's team actually approached me and said, hey, we wanna give you the transcripts.
Oh, interesting.
A highlight of the parts that you should actually pay attention to and that you might wanna share with your people.
Huh.
Now, when that happened, I was like, okay, but no, thank you, right?
So you have to have some...
Yeah, it's all on purpose. It's all on purpose.
This is a 10-year relationship. There was adults and consensual,
Boo.
and everybody who was there wanted to be there.
Boo. true, if half of what happened to those people, if a quarter of what happened to those people happened to this man, he would be livid.
And I literally saw how something would happen in court, and the same group of people that were like this with Diddy's PR, they were reporting their version of events.
Reporting two different versions of the events.
When they did not sequester the jurors, I was like, this can turn upside down.
What? I didn't realize that. What?
Cassie takes absolutely zero accountability.
Cassie? Bro.
Was pretty much the ringleader. That bitch was going back to the freak off.
And this is why, now that I am on social media, and now that I've even associated with people who are in the Diddy bubble, like, not Diddy bubble, but similar to Diddy in a sense, where like when you first meet them, you like them until you get to know them more. And then you realize behind the scenes, there's stuff you don't even know what's happening, like abuse and people being filmed and sharing videos. So that's why now I'm very strict about who I collab with and who I associate with, because I don't ever want to be in this situation. And I don't want to accidentally be there ever again, even like on accident, even at the same parties at this point. Like I don't even want to leave my house because I know what it's like to be. I am a social media, I am a YouTuber. And so to see these people show up and make these videos is devastating. It's devastating, and it's just exactly why we say men as a system, we say patriarchy, we say victim blaming, we say rape culture. You can keep denying it all you want, but this is what we're talking about.
It's funny because you would hear rumors that something happened in court, and we're like, what? That didn't happen. What do you mean?
And that's the point right there.
You didn't see any forced fraud or coercion between Cassie and Sean?
In love, you know, they're like overly love. We cannot explain. She wanted to be with him. He took her for granted.
Do you believe that Sean Combs is a violent person?
Based on that Intercontinental video, he can be.
It was smart to say, hey, it's not against the law to be a bad person.
It's not against the law to be a bad person. And that's why I say, like, it's really hard to die a good person. And that's why we do philosophy here, because I recognize when I look at the world around me, when I look at myself, how hard it is to truly die a good person in a world that's consistently, always, every second of every day tempting you to be a bad one. And too many people are giving into that temptation.
Said he's not charged with domestic violence.
Domestic violence wasn't one of the charges.
It should have been. Oh, I've never seen this footage here.
The very next day, the following day, if you see how they're getting back together and...
But that's the problem. That's so normal. This is literally how abuse cycles work.
Exchanging text messages and like nothing ever happened. So now we are confused. What's going on here?
This is why we have to educate people on abuse cycles, because I didn't even know this growing up. Like, I didn't know this growing up. Like, you know, just because, you know, a guy you dated wasn't hurtful to you doesn't mean he was hurtful to other people. Like, this is why I do want to side on believing victims, just because, like, you never know. And also, because we live in a culture that lets predators get away with bad behavior constantly, we elected Donald Trump when he was found liable for sexual assault. You really have to interrogate people's sense of values, their ethics, and really understand their morals to really decide if you can trust them to do the right thing. You know, the conservatives love to talk about protecting children, but they're the first people to say, oh, it's a different time. You know, times were different.
He's beating her. Next minute they're going on dinners and trips. It's like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Which is the indication of toxicity. That's why I say on again, off again relationships are automatically toxic, abusive, breakup. Like, if you're in that cycle, and I've been there myself, know that you're in a bad cycle and you're in a bad place. And I hope you get out. There is no redemption for this on again, off again. There is no redemption here. There is only getting out as fast as you can.
Allegations of I was forced, I had to say, are nonsense. She could have done whatever she wanted to do.
If you don't like something, you completely get out. You cannot have both ways.
Yeah, this is a very common belief. This is what most people believe, right? That, oh, well, if she wanted to leave, she could have. This man was kidnapping people at gunpoint. This man killed multiple people.
Luxury and then complain about it? I don't think so.
And then he said, and then what? Complain about it? You're complaining about your abuse? That's how abusers get away with stuff. Because even if people around us aren't abusive, they'll defend an abuser thinking, well, if I was in an abusive situation, I would just leave.
Or people are just coming after him to attack him.
Oh, poor Diddy. Poor sweet Diddy. He's just a nice guy. And everyone's just attacking him for no reason. 100% people believe that narrative. It's the same reason when we first watched Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, we fell for the narrative. And then that's why I went back with my community and rewatched it, only to realize, like, oh my God, obviously Johnny Depp is the predator. Obviously he's the perpetrator. Obviously he was found guilty in another country. Obviously, what are we talking about here? But you wouldn't know that because the way the media spins it. We fell for it. And just like with Diddy, there are people falling for it. And I'm saying that's why I say evil is so easily a part of all of us. I engaged in philosophical evil when I didn't do my due diligence watching Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's case initially. And I only righted that wrong by reviewing the case and realizing I was wrong. That was my version of holding myself accountable, to publicly put myself on the stand, to say publicly, not only did I get it wrong, but watch me make it right. And that's what we need people to do, okay? There is a path to redemption. I'm a progressive. I have to believe this, and I do believe this. I wouldn't, believe in humanity and its ability to be good if I didn't believe people could change, right? I do think you can change, and I think you can be better, but you have to do the work.
But that's pretty much all it was. It wasn't anything crazy or it wasn't like he was trying to sway us.
He's always trying to sway you, girl. He's always working it.
I think it was more of just him.
Him walking through New York, willy-nilly chilly on a bicycle, that is him working the crowd.
As a person, just reacting to whatever was being said.
No, I think she has to say that because she's worried.
Funny because I remember that nod watching Making of the Band.
They're not getting it. Everything is a part of it. Nothing is naturally Sean. Nothing is natural. It is the manipulator. It's the marketer in him.
If he felt it was something that he wanted, I guess, approval on, he would look towards us and be like, you heard that. And sometimes look over to us like, can you believe they said that? What you just said?
This is why people love him. Oh, he's so funny, he's so quirky, and then boom, tactics.
It was funny to see because I had the same facial expressions that he did at times.
This girl sounds like she's friends with Diddy. Hello, ma'am, you're the juror?
When it was something that someone said and it's like, that didn't make much sense. The biggest one I remember was when Capricorn Clark said something about being kidnapped.
She doesn't believe him, or she doesn't believe the women. She said she was horrified for Cassie, but she thinks Diddy's innocent in a way, right? Are you guys getting the same vibe from this juror?
The emotional testimony from Capricorn Clark.
I said, I've been kidnapped with a gun. My life has been threatened. I've watched him beat up his girlfriend. We went to murder somebody, but that jury in there that day, I knew they didn't believe anything.
This is what I'm saying. You know why? Because people have to understand, real life is stranger than fiction. I know you think it's not, but it is. I believe everything because I've seen enough, I've read enough, I know enough about people. Very believable. Everything makes sense.
It's hard to believe.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's easier for people to believe God lives in a sky than your daughter was raped and wasn't asking for it when she continued to date her rapist. It is easier to believe that child who was arranged in a marriage to an adult, that was just culture and the times, than it was predatory and manipulative and a chess game of someone's life. It is easier to believe that Trump is going to save America than to admit you voted for a man found liable for sexual assault. It is literally easier to believe Diddy Combs didn't kidnap a woman, even though you saw him beat the fuck out of Cassie. You think a man who's willing to beat the fuck out of his girlfriend isn't willing to then kidnap a woman at gunpoint to go kill a guy that his girlfriend's sleeping with?
I think the whole the room felt that question mark pop up.
I'm watching them as they relate to him.
Damn. That's so bad. I'm so frustrated for the victims. Wow.
I think they all kind of had a like for Puff.
Of course they did. Diddy could never have been Diddy if he wasn't likable.
He would make me cry. I cried a lot in there because I was like, this is a nightmare.
It is such a nightmare for the victims. It is such a nightmare for the victims, and it's just a game for Diddy. It's just a game for him. And the jurors ate it up.
I'm hearing some disgusting stuff. And I have to re-traumatize myself about what you took from me.
Capricorn Clark had a lot of information that was very emotional. And with the emotion attached to it, maybe the details are skewed. But the problem is that just leaves room for doubt.
That's interesting. So if you get on the stand and you don't look emotional, you're a psychopath. If you show emotions, now we can't trust you because you're crazy. You can't win as a victim. You can't win as a victim.
That's where her credibility became an issue, I think.
No, her credibility was not an issue. You doubted her because you've been trained under patriarchy to see emotionality that isn't anger as something negative. Well, you see Diddy's anger beating the fuck out of Cassie as what? What is that? How could you see a man beat the fuck out of a woman and then doubt the women around him as also being victims? I don't understand the math.
They miss the nuances. They get these highlights. He beat her for 15 minutes and kicked her in the face. Well, he had been beating women since 1992.
Thank you. Hello?
It seems to be all of a sudden with Sean. This has been a slow build.
This is the cycle of abuse. This is why it's so hard, because it's like, oh, we settled it, we're good. I've had these same conversations with family and friends when I'm like, we have to do something about the predators in our family. And it's always like, what do you want us to do? That was years ago. It's over. Everybody's good now. Victim doesn't care. Victim's over it. Victim's not over it. Victim is coping. And that's the point. Victims can't do anything but cope because nobody wants to do anything to the predator. And I get it. You think I don't also love people unconditionally who happen to also be predators? That's why we have to do right by the victims, regardless of how much we love people. Because even though we know the good parts of them, the good parts are overrun by the evil. We are animals on a planet evolved over millions of years. We are not gifts from God. We are not aliens. We are not illusions. We are people. And we are fucked up. And this is fucked up.
On a gun possession charge after leaving a nightclub in which 3 people...
Story after story after story. How much more evidence do you need? And you know what's crazy is it goes back to the gangsters, the mafia guys. It goes back to Al Capone and all those guys. Like, we read about it after, years after. We're like, whoa, this is crazy. I can't believe this happened. It's crazy how we got away with it. But now you know. Did you get it yet? Do you get it yet? Do you understand it yet? How they get away with it? Is it clicking? Have you popped the bubble, guys? This is it. Because we are complicit. We create the excuses for predators. We give them an opportunity to come back. We explain it away. The world is a reflection of us as a whole, and all of us are complicit. That's why accountability shouldn't be something you're afraid of. Accountability should set you free. Restorative justice, making the peace, liberation. You shouldn't be afraid of accountability. It should give us, if we don't believe in punishment, which we should not. See, I don't want to punish Diddy. What's that going to do? Is that going to save all of his victims? No, I want accountability, not punishment. And accountability does not look like getting his old life back. And that's the difference. America thinks punishment is the answer, but we know from all these patriarchal systems, all these religions, all these groups around the world, they use punishment. It's evil. We do not have the right to kidnap people off the streets and take them to different places. We do not have the right to imprison people for life for having having weed in their pockets, right? A plant. We do not have the right. We are not entitled to abusing people because they've done bad. And we're certainly not entitled to taking innocent people off the streets and abusing them because we feel like it. And yet it's happening every day, all the time. And not only is it happening, but people are cheering for it. They're saying, I voted for this.
Diddy's been sued a bunch of times before, but by his best friend, make that former friend, Kirk Burroughs. He's even the godfather of one of Combs' sons.
I also am a victim on multiple levels with Sean Combs.
I mean, definitely. Like, he is a victim of Sean Combs, and he's complicit, and he was tricked, and he was bamboozled. He saw Janice get hit, and both him and Janice washed it away. Janice, to this day, says it's a lie that happened.
Kirk was the foundation of Bad Boy. He wasn't the face, but in the early days, he was the foundation of...
Without him, I don't think it would have happened. I think Diddy really needs people. I think we all do. I don't think any of us build empires alone. And that's kind of the problem, because the king and the emperor always gets the credit, but it's never built on its... You know who Diddy's reminding me of now that I say that? The emperor on The Gladiator. Mm-hmm.
He was also abusive to me in other ways.
Oh, no. Because they've known each other a really long time, right?
Sexually deviant ways.
Oh, I'm so proud of everybody coming out. Oh, it's so hard. And there's so much stigma, right? It's so hard for everybody.
I did not want to do it. I didn't want to be around him and take care of him as he's essaying me and others.
Today, his lawyers made shocking allegations. They even accuse him of ordering the hit that killed rapper Tupac Shakur.
This is a terrorist organization that uses fear, violence, and the threat of violence to take money from people and put it in their pocket.
Was eventually labeled RICO and racketeering.
Wow. So he was like the first to call the RICO and racketeering. He really tried to get justice. You remember the last episode or the episode before, we learned that Janice had 75%, he had 25%, and then Diddy said, give me your stocks. I need it for something. I think Diddy knew he was going to fire him eventually, and he went to take that $25 million away from him.
I was looked on as, that has to be a lie.
Right now, the judge did say this looks like it will be dismissed.
After the filing of the lawsuit, I did not succeed.
Now, instead of getting nihilistic and giving up on the world, you know you exist. And you know the world can be a better place. And so you have to make the effort. But the truth is like the world isn't full of Diddies. The world is full of us who do create a circumstance to create and add to that abusive dynamic by fooling ourselves. We trick ourselves. We lie to ourselves. This is why I say the greatest lie you can tell is to yourself. If I help him, he'll change. I could be the person. I can fix him. He just needs to be loved a certain way. It's too late at a certain point, girls. Now it's up to them. They have to make the decision to change. But when they're children, when they're young, when we have the opportunity before we've even given birth to them, that is when you have the most power and control. That is when you have the chance to save a child's life. Afterwards, when they're grown, when they're in the system, when they're out here, who knows? And that's why I say, you know, the world is so casual when it comes to making life. Of course, the world is going to be casual with the way that it's impacted. And this is why I think we're just biological creatures, but yet we can have this great and profound and deep relationship with our consciousness, which is what I want you to have. You know, I want you to have and feel entitled to a safe world. But first, you have to be a safe world for somebody else. And so you have to stand up. And this is why, you know, these mothers who make excuses for their sons, they're a part of it. They're complicit. But also are the fathers who abandon their kids or are not present. All of these boys who are getting trapped in the Andrew Tate bubble, some of my brothers being some of them, my dad asked me, how could my sons like Andrew Tate? And I said, because you never talked to them the real way you needed to. You didn't. You had 10 kids, 8 boys, and you never had time. And at the end of the day, that's the reality. You can say lead by example, and I do think that there's some of that. But realistically, you didn't talk to these boys. You don't keep up with the internet. You don't know what's going on. You don't understand why Andrew Tate is appealing. Heck, even when Andrew Tate started, I was like, this isn't going to work. No one's going to care about Andrew Tate. And boom. Okay, he's everywhere. Because at the end of the day, boys are just as susceptible, which is why he targeted them. Predators target all people of all genders. No one is safe from a predator.
And then I was banished from the business. Shelters, homelessness.
He was banned from the industry so aggressively that he was in shelters and he was unhoused. Wow.
Sometimes you're made an example of. Sometimes violent things happen to you.
Damn.
Through the years, a lot of bad things happen to good friends. When you are championing someone and taking care of them, and you have their back, and you are the holder of their secrets, Trail came at a great cost. And the way he handled me was to erase me.
I think he's talking about basically, you know, you get into your head and you think if I'm loyal, if I hold their secrets, if I do all these things, you know, they'll protect you. But even more than that, I think from a woman's perspective, the way we're raised in society, we think we're helping. We think we're an ear, person to vent to, someone to support people through their hard times, and they're going to get the help they need. But really, it's a manipulation tactic. So much of trauma dumping, which is why I'm very weary of it, or even you sharing something intimate with somebody, a part of it is a manipulation tactic, not by everybody, but by the Diddies. So the difference is my friend telling me this thing because they're truly confiding in something and they want to get help? Or is my friend a Diddy and they're telling me this thing in order to convince me of something, or is my boss confiding me? Or is my coworker confiding in me? Or is my priest confiding in me? And that's the dilemma, right? So it's not the thing that's happening. It's not someone sharing something intimate with you that's the problem. It's the person behind it. It's the intention of why are you sharing this? And that's what we all have to learn is discernment. We have to have the humility, to have the wisdom, to have the discernment, to know that though most people are not Diddy, most people are also, they have problems. We all have problems. Our families are not these perfect families. We come from dysfunction. All of us are dysfunctional. So the question is, you know, on the spectrum of dysfunction, where are you? And then on that spectrum, where is healing? And how do I get on that path?
Cassie Ventura released a statement saying, I am so scared that his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke about him at this trial.
Definitely.
People have asked, was I afraid? I was afraid.
Of course.
I've been afraid.
Of course.
I am afraid.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Powerful people do scary things.
Definitely. Honestly, I'm sure a lot of YouTubers are afraid. Heck, people who are at his trial reporting the story are probably afraid. You know what I mean? It's scary.
He remembers all of the people that said no and that might have slighted him.
Yep.
And there's a price to pay for that.
That's Trump. Trump does that. World leaders do that. That's the problem of positions of power. That's why it's so crazy that we're watching ICE literally kidnap people off the streets and we don't know what to do about it. And then you're out here casually making babies to bring them into this world. That's what I'm saying. Human beings are so funny. We're so funny. And one side of our mouth, we think we have free will. And the other side of our mouth, we're like, we had no choice. We had to do it. It's both. That's why I say in order to enact and have a deeper relationship with your free will, you have to be introspective, extrospective. You have to look around you and say like, oh, you're not going to change. All of this work, all this effort, all this money I'm putting into you, all of this belief I have that you'll get better, it's only going to matter if you change. Otherwise, it's coming at the expense of myself and others. And so you have to do the right thing, love people, and still walk away. Open with boundaries, right? We're open with boundaries. And this is why it's so interesting. And I know because I had this happen so many times where men will come to me and they'll say, you're too nice to this man. He's a bad guy. You should stop being friends with this man. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to stop being friends with men who are misogynist or bad to women? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you too. And they're like, whoa, not me. And I was like, no, you too. Do you think you're good to women? And they do. The same men that you are sitting there hoping they will get better, hoping they understand they've been trained under patriarchy, just, the same way they think they're exempt. No, you too, homie. Look at the way you treat her. Look at the data I have. Look at the way you talk about women. You too. But they think they're exempt because they don't understand. So many of us, especially those of us who are AFAB, are raised to cater to bad people. We're raised to save our family. We're raised to keep people's secrets. And I'm saying, you know what? I'm kind of over it. Because it's not helping. Nobody's getting better. Nobody's healing. The truth will set you free. That's what they say. And I can only hope that these victims feel a little bit of reprieve or relief or something in knowing that we believe them. Some of us really believe them. And I can only hope that they can move on with their lives and find their joy, because Jesus Christ, what a difficult thing they've been through.
Master manipulator. I think in ways he's soulless.
This shit is motherfucking history. Last night, we was human, but tonight, we going to superhuman.
It hurts. I hope he's getting everything he got coming to him, and he's gonna get it all. Everybody had to go through something with this dude.
That's insane to have that many victims in your wake and then to have the audacity to say I'm innocent. These grown men are crying. These grown women are crying. People are crying. People are emoting. People have evidence. There is video evidence, photo evidence. People have journal entries, witnesses. Humans are going to human, as we say in this channel. And so I implore you to be, to seek discernment.
When I was first starting out, I didn't have no mercy. If you live life like that too much, I think your intentions can get misinterpreted. My intentions was just to make everybody the best, for everybody to eat.
He wants everybody to eat, but he won't pay anybody for their work.
I'm gonna wake up, old and have any regrets that I didn't develop as a man. I'm still in this movie. I just know the ending, and that it's gonna end happily ever after.
All right, so we did it. That's all 4 parts. I think this is just proof and evidence of everything we've been saying, of everything that I've been deconstructing in my own life, as we see time and time again. People in positions of power do not get there without it coming at the expense of people, their values, morals. And this is why we bring into question the concept of ethical billionaires. It's why we bring into question the systems we live under. It's why we have to have these conversations, because real people are being hurt. Real lives are being impacted, and it's not a joke and it's not funny. So I'm glad the series was made. I still think it's ironic that 50 Cent made it, as he himself is not clean and he himself has done horrible things to women. Okay. So it is kind of ironic. I really hope all of the people who've been victimized by Diddy get therapy, do philosophical work, get help, have a good support system, because I know some of them won't have those things. And that's devastating as well. Okay, I can't wait to read your comments in the sections down below. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment. I really like to read them. And I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.